Guys, welcome back to another installment of Rise or Die Real Talk. This is going to be our third installment, and we have none other than Mr. Bert Timpson here.
I know it's hard to say sometimes, huh?
I'm like, all right,
My
I want to
brother
talk to you.
Tim. It's my brother Tim, right? It's Bert and Tim, right?
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah,
I want to also go into that a little bit later. But
yeah,
yes, Tim is here. Welcome, Tim.
yeah. How you doing, man? Good to see you, Andrew.
Bert,
Bert,
Tim.
Tim. You
Oh shit.
call me whatever you want, bro. You know,
Um,
call me
doing
whatever you
excellent.
want.
It's an honor to have some of your time today. So thanks for jumping on here. So you just finished a band practice.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that go?
Really good. We're working on. Okay, so we'll probably talk about this. We're do emo pop punk covers, and we are working on "Downfall of Us All" from A Day to Remember.
Very nice.
We're really excited about it. Very
Big,
chuggy, you know.
very classic. Very classic. Got to have
Yeah,
that one in the repertoire.
yeah.
So yeah, okay. Your band is CRYRS. I
Yes.
absolutely love it. So tell
Thank
me
you.
about how the idea of CRYRS started. It seems like you guys are kind of an emo night band where you
Yeah,
guys, are just you guys all seem to be. Is Lee the official drummer?
he is.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
It seems like y'all really have a passion, or just y'all were brought up on the emo thing, so it was just like, how do we keep that stuff alive? And you guys were like, well, let's just do this band. But yeah, you tell me how it started, I guess, and what you guys are doing now, I guess, in terms of playing shows. And
Yeah, let's do it. So Andrew, you and I go way back. For all the listeners here, Andrew met up with me about 6, 7 years ago with my band Secondborn, and I'm kind of like the poster child elder emo. So when you think elder emo, I put the elder and elder emo, right? So I've been around the music industry a long time,
Tim, you want to just
and
turn your gain down just a little bit? It's just a little
yeah, I could
hot.
do that. Well, I like it loud, man. All right, is that better?
Loud is good, but
Is that
it's
better? Yeah, I like to
that's
talk loud.
perfect.
All right, cool. Yeah. Yeah, so our band is called CRYRS, and like as I was mentioning, Andrew, you've known my previous bands, one of which is Secondborn, from the mid 2010, 2014, 2015 era. Um, so yeah, I'm a working professional. I'm a father of one. I raise a family, but I've been in the music industry for a very long time with many bands. And really, here's the funny thing, Andrew. About 2018, 2019, I was kind of considering just being out of the industry completely. I just was like, I need to focus on my career. I run two businesses, a few others, but two really full-time ones. And COVID hit. I also lost a family member that was really close to me. And that year, 2020, 21, was very pivotal. And it reminded me, Andrew, and hopefully everybody that's listening can maybe relate to this. It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how young you are. If you enjoy something that you do, man, just go for it. Who
Yeah.
cares, right? So that really hit home. There was a big concert that came here in South Louisiana around that time. And I remember it was the first live show in like 10 months. And I was like, I miss this. I really miss this, And then so I talked to some of my friends, one of which was Kayla K Rocks, who's our singer, and she was like, we need to put another band together. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I have the time. And she was like, well, if you ever would consider it, I really want to do this emo pop punk thing. I'm like, okay,
You're speaking my
you're
language.
reading my mind now, because I was kind of thinking about that too. So we were like, great, let's get some people together, let's learn a few songs. And literally from that first practice, it was like, you just when you know it, you know it. And so it really felt natural. Yeah, for any musician that's listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you have that practice and it's like the magic's there and you feel like everybody's on the same page, you just really have to lean into it. So yeah, we decided, look, let's do a show. Our first official show was Halloween of 2022, and it was a sold out crowd. We weren't expecting that. We thought we'd meet like 100 people would come and check us out. It was like almost 400 people there. And we're like, okay, it seems like people really want to hear this type of music again. And that was right when like there were rumors about Mark coming back, Tom coming back to Blank. That was heating up. MCR was they just dropped their new song. And like, so people were like, man, is this, MGK is doing stuff, so like really some things are happening here. What's going on here? And then literally that next month, like all these bands started saying, hey, we're coming out. So I don't know if like we subconsciously, the universe told us something, but it was really interesting how the timing of that came to be. And so we were like, right, let's just do more shows. And yeah. And then so we kind of built it, we're building it up from there. That's kind of the long story short.
That's awesome, man. It was like, perfect timing, I guess, for you, right? And
Yeah.
just how everything kind of came together. I'm
Yeah.
glad to see that you're still obviously playing with Lee.
Yeah.
Secondborn. I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, but you had said earlier, you'd mentioned, yes, I'd met you in the Secondborn era, and
Yeah.
I was showing my fiance Secondborn earlier today while we were going to get some Dunkin' coffee, and
Nice.
I she's like, "Oh, look at this comment." And I'm just going to read this comment here. It's the top comment from 3 years ago on the
Mhm.
Carrie video. But
Oh, wow.
it says, "You
Yeah.
guys are superstars who have the rotten luck of being active about 15 years late. If you were putting out this material in the early 2000s, you would be a household name like My Chemical Romance. Your material absolutely slaps. Keep up the awesome work." And that
Wow.
was like basically I was telling her, I was like, these guys, the sound is so well produced, like it's such an amazing band, and it just, I wish that if the right person had heard you, if you had played in front of the right person, you definitely probably would have got scooped up. And but still, you guys obviously you don't make music to make it big, right? I mean, like, of course, if it
Right.
happens, great, awesome, you're
Yeah.
ready for it, you've been practicing, you've been playing live, you have it all
Right.
down. But you make music to fill this need inside of you to make music, right? It helps
Yeah.
kind of fill that, feeling proud and feeling like amped about something that you created and you put into the universe. So I was always a huge fan of you guys. You guys' music is absolutely amazing. I mean,
Thank
you're
you.
probably, honestly, one of the best bands I worked with when I was doing the Rise or Die thing, with the CDs. You definitely had a unique and a staple of a sound.
Thank you.
So of course, so I mean, you've actually been involved in a ton of music
Mhm.
projects. I know I was doing a little bit of research. Tell me a little bit about Liquid Sand.
Yeah. So Liquid Sand was really my first big band that was on the national level. Um, we actually we started touring heavily in like 2000 up until about 2006. So right in that era, right when like the active rock scene was popping, pop punk, hardcore, post hardcore, all that was just really popping. Um
And how old were you in 2000?
21, you know. So do the math.
Sweet.
That's how old I am now, right? I don't care. It's fine. Um, but interesting about that band, Andrew. So I don't know if you know the entire story about that group. We actually got to work we recorded 3 records. Our final record was picked up by Live Atlantic for a demo deal, right? In 2004-ish. And I don't know if you know who Rick Beato is, but he is a very well-known YouTube music industry guy. And so he produced that record. So for anybody that's in the music industry and you're kind of on YouTube, he's pretty notable there. So the interesting thing about that is, and this is for everybody listening, this is kind of how the music industry tends to work, right? We had a chance to get signed by Three Doors Down's record label at that time, and the bass player who was starting his own record label. But we had a manager who was managed by Sunny Day Real Estate, OG emo guys, right? Who said, "Look, we got another record. We could get you a better deal at Sony or Interscope or insert name, right?" So we turned down this literally impending record deal with Three Doors Down crew and trusted that our manager had our best interests in heart. And turns out nothing really materialized. So we really kind of lost out on both, right?
Yikes.
And then a month or two later, our singer quit because there was some family issues and he was just kind of getting burnt out. And that was it. That was the end of the band. We were right there.
Wow.
For everybody listening, you ever have your dream and it's right there, you could taste it, and
That is wild.
it could end like that. It's a bitter pill to swallow, and it definitely took me years to kind of get over that for sure. Because look, all my life, that's what I wanted to be, was just in the music scene and really try to quote unquote, make it right. So formed a few other bands after that. Another one was Raining in Paris. I don't know if you know about that band. That was a little bit more on like the Seosin route. And then took a hiatus. Years later, got Secondborn together with some new people. And that's when I met you, right? And so there we are, right? So you asked about Liquid Sand. That was sort of the transition there. I didn't want to go too
Yeah.
long-winded.
No, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
That's incredible how close you were, man.
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy to
Yeah.
think if you
Yeah.
had signed, like, what would that have looked like? Do you know what that would have looked like actually if you had signed with
Yeah.
that first?
Probably would have been opening up for Three Doors Down and playing opener for their arena tour. That was when their third record had just come out. Yeah, they were doing a big US tour. Most likely would have been the opener. Probably would have got some pretty heavy radio play. So, beyond that, who knows? It would have been our shot,
Yeah,
I think though what's interesting is I'm quietly at peace with it,
sure.
but it took time, reflect, because there was a period where I was like, that was it. I might as well just give up, because really that was it. I'm never going to have that level of shot. However, I think that was an incorrect viewpoint on my end, because I forgot what I really was in this for. And it wasn't quote unquote, oh, I want to make it. Man, this band, like Secondborn up until this band, it reminded me, honestly, man, I just like getting up on the weekends with my bandmates and just jamming. And that to me is where the true happiness is. It's all about the process of getting the songs together, getting the project together, getting the name, working out the tunes, working out the parts, getting ready for the show. That's where the beauty is. And I forgot that for a little while. It's
Yeah.
not about the, oh, well, we're X amount of people came to this show, we sold X amount of records. I mean, that's awesome and that's part of it. But man, I got into this when I was a kid because I just love playing guitar and I just love making noise, and it's great to make noise with other people.
Yeah, the music
You
videos you
know,
guys have done are all super high quality as well. That's got to be fun too. I mean, I
yeah,
love music videos because they're just like a really great way to, no matter where you are, what time it is, you can always pull it up on YouTube if you're, in conversation with someone and be like, oh yeah, check out this music video. And it's like
yeah,
always a nice little place marker of like, what it was. So,
yeah.
um,
Well, it's interesting you talk about that, and I know we're probably going to delve into the marketing side. So CRYRS to me now is taking a lot of the knowledge that I've learned over the years, but I feel like I have the resources now from some of the other businesses, one of which is a marketing company that I run, that I can kind of know. I have a better sense of maybe what we should be doing, where we should be focusing our ads, and if we're going to run ads and stuff. Like, what is an ad? Like, what does that look like? What are we trying to accomplish? I have I think a better idea what that answer is now for a band. So in many respects, we kind of are running like an indie label, and we have complete control. We can, all the videos is DIY across the board, Andrew. Like every single thing, all the videos are self-funded, all the recordings are self-funded, and we have complete say so over what we do next. And I think really that's all you can really ask for as an artist.
Now, are you guys doing, forgive me if I should know this already, but are you guys
Oh.
doing a couple original songs as well with CRYRS?
We've talked about it. I have tons of songs written that when it's the right time, we'll maybe look into. I don't know if it's the right time right now. We're having a lot of fun kind of just being the performers, and we already have the repertoire laid out for us, so we can just
Sure.
kind of focus on the show. But that is probably the number 2 question we get asked. When you going to write an original? So that's probably coming. The number 1 question being, can you please play it in the Day to Remember song? Because that literally is every show. Literally every damn show we get asked
That's
that.
funny.
Yeah.
So your songs that you've recorded so far, they're
Mm-hmm.
covers.
Yeah.
Do you run into any issues with that when it comes to like royalties or anything?
No, it's a great question, and this is hopefully very informative for anybody listening. That I keep saying that. I'm sure musicians and non-musicians may listen to this. Yeah, so we go through DistroKid to obtain the licenses for just releasing the song on Spotify or any streaming. So that's taken care of straight through DistroKid. Now, funny story.
Is it a one-time charge though on like a cover
No,
song? Like,
um, think they renew it every year, something like that.
Okay,
And
cool.
it's not much. I don't remember the exact cost, like maybe 20, 30, $40 per song. Um, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Now, here's where the price can get a little bit hefty. So we did a skit last summer, right when we were kind of announcing our big band is coming out. I did a skit with one of my friends where I was Tim turning into emo Bert, and we used the Finch song as the transition, like the kind of morphing. So to use any sort of recording, even if we recorded it, it's not the master, it's just the sync we call it, right? I recorded their song, but it's still Finch's song. Um, we had to pay, I think Universal like $500-600 just to have that placement in our little short skit that we released on YouTube.
Did they
So
come after you or did you ask permission?
we asked permission, and we used a service called Easy Song. So so if you're a band and you're looking to do something similar, Easy Song is like your direct way to do like sync licensing if you're trying to do media with a song that you're a cover song you're recording, or if you want to take even their master recording and place it. Now masters will cost way more because you got to pay both the sync license and master license for that. So for us, it actually was a little bit more cost effective. If we do it again, we can use our recorded song of a recorded version of their song, which is cheaper and actually shows the band, oh, okay, these guys can play this style, and that's their version. So we get to hear what the band actually sounds like. So that was sort of
Right.
my thinking on that. In CRYRS though, so we have a thing called the CRYRS standard where we want we really want to redefine what's possible from a local unsigned band ish. We could do high quality videos like you pointed out. We do a lot of promo and marketing. We've got an email list on every show. We pull 200, 300, 400 people per show at this point, and it's not just because we've got that many friends. I'm not that popular, but we have a really good idea now of how to market this band. People I think have a really need for this nostalgia area, as you know.
Yeah.
I do. So we just marked it that way. Hey, you want to come see an up and coming tribute experience? We call it tribute experience. And that's so long story short, Andrew, I have a really good sense of where we could market this whole thing and do it ourselves, how to make high quality content that people will really enjoy. And I think if you're a band, cover, tribute, original, I think that's all important. Really make sure you got good content. And the second thing is when you have the good content, like if you're a metalcore band, promote the show and just make sure you're hitting people that are going to be interested in that, right? I know it's probably kind of common sense, but it's easy to overlook that stuff.
And if someone's going to be thinking about running any sort of like advertisement to
Mm-hmm.
get more eyes on their stuff, like
Yeah.
what would you suggest to run on
Yeah.
what platforms, and like I guess how would you do it?
Love that question. We do what I call the triple threat: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So
See,
for
it's funny. Okay, it's funny that you say that
Mhm.
because I was reading um a overview of I think it was a podcast, I wasn't really sure, of something you guys did in 2015, I think it was. You did a show,
Mhm.
you were on someone's show, and I was reading the highlights from it. And the triple threat back then was actually Facebook, Instagram, um, and Twitter. I think it was, yeah, Twitter.
Mhm.
So now
Yeah.
the triple threat is TikTok instead of Twitter. That's very interesting. I agree with that 100%. I think
Mhm.
TikTok is like the most,
The future.
it's, oh god, dude, I spend way
Yeah.
more time on TikTok than any other social media platform at this point, you know.
Yeah.
Um
For sure.
it's 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 great because I think it forces Facebook to be more of like a actual community, people you know, type of thing, where
Yeah.
it's like of course you're still going to see memes, you're still going to like have that, you know, extra stuff in there, but like now you have TikTok where it's like way more just random people, like things you're into,
Yeah.
but it's just that hit of like dopamine, where Facebook's like, hey, happy birthday, Aunt Susie. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. It's
it's
true.
it's so it's funny. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and then
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned TikTok. I've never run any ads on TikTok. Have you?
Oh yeah, all the time. And if you want to get into like the nuts and bolts of that, I'm sure your listeners would probably get a kick out of like how it works. So
I heard it's expensive. Is that
it's
true?
very, yeah, it is. It is. So we do. we have two methods. Okay. So for promoting a show, we will promote an event on Facebook and Instagram because you can boost that, right? You can post an event, boost it to both Facebook and Instagram. The target on Facebook and Instagram is super good. So like we target people that are in our age group and then list the bands out, right? That simple. On TikTok, it's a little bit different. TikTok's algorithm is not as advanced yet because it's fairly new. So we basically create a video post talking about the upcoming show. The problem that you're going to run into right now in September 2023, advertising on TikTok is you better be ready to spend $50 a day on ads.
Oh, okay, $50 a day. Okay.
Yeah, that's their minimum. That's their minimum.
Okay. And do you have to run it a certain amount of days or no?
No, you can run it anytime. So
it's just 50 a day. Okay.
So we will run typically a show about 2 weeks. We'll do ads just for two, like a 14-day, sometimes a 3-week build up. Okay.
Okay.
But the trick is make sure, and if you're a band listening to this and you're like, okay, this is cool stuff, I want to do the same. Here's my biggest advice. Make sure you're running video content that shows what is the experience like live. Give your people a dose of what's it like to see this band live. And if you could do it in a video, and dude, they're so easy to do, like just get a video. If you don't have the budget, get a video from like your iPhone or friend's iPhone, slap it in Canva, put some graphics, try to get some sort. If you have audio and you feel like the mix audio from the show is pretty decent, it's at least something, right? Give your listeners like, oh, this is what they sound like live. This looks cool. And then describe that in the post itself. You know, if you're a fan of I Prevail or Tesseract or A Day to Remember or Sleeping with Sirens or Nickelback, doesn't matter, then check us out because you might like it. So always try to find a way to relate what generally their sound is with video content and then post it on those through the triple threat. And then let's let people start commenting and reacting, you know? And
that's what I think do. That's why Rise or Die did so well, bro. Because that's exactly what we did, right?
That's why I loved what you were doing, man. Yeah. I loved your strategy for sure. It was so punk rock, really. Dude, it was so punk rock. It was so like back in the 80s, that's what they would do, man. They would go and just like hand out CDs at all these like DIY shows. That's how the scene got built, right? Yeah. So I appreciate that.
I would literally still do it if CDs were still a thing, but CDs are just like half the people are going to be like, what do I do with this? You know what I mean? Especially at like, you know, younger kids at shows, the people that you're actually going to be able to influence in their minds a little bit. Once you get to a certain age, it's very hard. I found personally, like I'm speaking anecdotally, but like, I feel like it's so much harder for me to find and fall in love with a new band at 31 than it was at like 14, 15, 16, 17. I was so like easily influenced back then. I could, you know, if you got up and you were like, fuck the president, I'd be like, I love that guy. You know what I mean? Like right. No matter what they said, I'd be like, that guy's standing for something. Yeah. Like I'm in an impressionable age. Like I you know, want to look into that or I want to support that. It's funny too, because like Dave McQuain from Big D and the Kids Table, awesome guy, like really love Big D and the Kids Table, huge ska fan and everything. But it's funny, like 14, 15-year-old me was like so hardcore, like not to be political or whatever. Like I really am not political. I think like right and left is stupid. I think good ideas should just win. But like regardless, I think like it's funny to see that back then I was so what you'd consider like lefty, and like now like I'm still like, you know, I wouldn't say I'm like conservative by any means, but like I feel like it's just different now where he'll come out and say some things and I'm like, I kind of cringe a little bit, you know what I mean? Just being older. And it's funny like to have that. So yeah, I guess bringing it back to, I think that's why the CDs worked, because it was like, hey, you're a fan of Blink-182, cool, listen to these 15 bands that literally were influenced by Blink-182. It's a free CD, just pop it in on the way home. You know, you never know, maybe you'll find a new band you love. I've been like trying to figure out like, how do you do that now, right? Without being, the other thing was that it was just so, the internet was so just full of just crap, like everywhere. There was just stuff everywhere. It's hard to like pick and choose. And so I think how do I, because I don't want to just like hand out thumb drives. I think that's lame. I think though the live radio show is like overplayed now, I guess, right? It's like hard to capture people's attention, I think, on the internet, like with that sort of show. It's totally possible. And, you know, if I was to stay consistent with it, I think I could do something with it, but I just know I don't have the time. Like I'm a dad now, so like it's just, you know, having, you know, a young 2-year-old takes up a ton of time. I have a really tough time sticking to any real schedule when it comes to this. Like I'm trying to do like an hour or two of these, you know, a weekend, right? Where it's like I want to catch up with old friends. I want to like talk shop again when it comes to industry. But yeah, it's like I don't think there's anything now. I think we're now at the point of vinyls again, I think, right? Like if I really want to make a difference on a compilation, it has to be through a vinyl. They're way too pricey to like just be throwing like any band on a vinyl. So who knows? Maybe we do like a once a year, like super, you know, double vinyl edition or something where we, you know, reintroduce it, you know, I don't know. It'd be interesting. I really would love to put stuff out again because I loved the idea of having a physical thing that we put out. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was just great. I loved tying that together with what you were saying. So okay, strategy is target Facebook and Instagram really well targetable at this point. TikTok still kind of new to the advertising game. So what do you have the ability to actually target when it comes to TikTok? Like, is it can you do location,
Yeah.
obviously?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You can do location, you can do hashtags, you can do general age. So which is good. And I think they're gonna update it as it goes because more and more users will be on the platform and they'll have more historical data based on user habits. Now, I will say this, if you run ads on TikTok or even post, TikTok's algorithm actually is pretty good on its own finding the right people based on who's interacting. However, I want to back up a second because you're asking a very interesting question. And it's a question that's right now, literally, it is the question in this decade of where the music industry is going, if I may, right?
Please.
How does a band define and quantify success in today's music industry? That's the question. Okay. Now think about back in the 50s and 60s, Beatles, Elvis, Beatles era, Zeppelin 70s. Okay, they were selling vinyl, they were selling and at some point 8-track and then cassette, and then in the 80s hit vinyl, CDs, cassettes, and then
But it was
in the
radio
80s,
play too,
90s,
right?
and radio
Yeah.
play, right? But understand that all of, like, let's take Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, right? One of the most pivotal debut records ever. While they were successful because they sold probably 30 million records, the true win wasn't the 30 million record sales or however many. It was the fan base that they built out of that. So everybody listening, consider when we're talking about like record sales and what format, we're talking about one channel that's going to drive your fan base. So the real question is, well, how do we grow the fan base? Because that's the real question. How do we grow the fan base? The tools are just the CDs, the vinyl. That's the tool. That's a tool out of many,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So my best answer to that is, let's go back to what you were saying earlier. My most impressionable age was like 12 to 16. Sounds like maybe 18, right? When you hit your 20s, you've kind of already formulated your opinions. It's harder to win over somebody that has their, because at 14, man, everything's awesome, right? Ish,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
So if the goal of the band is to make quantifiable results in the music industry, and we know that 14 to 18 is probably the age to capture them, then if that's the case, TikTok needs to be your number one channel to stay in front of them every single day and hyper focus on that age group. If the goal is to capture new listeners that are going to embrace you quicker than an older age group. Do you follow my logic
Oh,
there?
100%. Yeah.
So now what's
That
interesting in the,
that
go ahead,
should be the
sorry.
measure. That should be
That's
the
the
measure
measure.
technically is like
Yeah.
how many 14 to 18-year-olds do you have listening to your music? Like, you know what I
That's
mean?
the
Like,
measure.
what percentage of your fan
Yeah.
base market age is that younger demographic? Because those are the ones who are going to stick with you the longest, and they're
Yeah.
going to be the ones who are your
There you go.
most faithful.
So if you had to pick one out of the triple threat and you were a new band and that age group seems to be your breadbasket, TikTok all the way, right? Now, Follow me on this logic, okay? Hopefully, this is kind of where you wanted this podcast to go because,
Honestly, I had no plans. This is not where I saw it
okay.
going, but like I love it. I want to keep doing it. Yeah.
Well, you're a marketer, so you kind of get this,
Oh,
right?
100%.
So follow me on this logic. If you're a band, you want to make an impact in the music scene, and you know that 12, I'm going to say 12 to 18 is the age group that's going to most likely embrace you faster than other age groups because they don't have preconceived negative opinions about the music industry. They're still ready to embrace you. Then you should definitely hyper focus on TikTok. Now, the next question is, okay, Tim or Bert, uh, what then? Okay, so would we just get more TikTok subscribers? Well, that's part of it. But really, you want to get more people on your mailing list and on your Spotify, because your Spotify, those are going to be people that are like really listening to you. And then your mailing list, those are people that you're interacting with, that you're building your community. So hear me out. I tell this to my wife all the time. Hear me out. She hates when I say that. Get good content. Okay, let me back up. Have the plan. What's the goal? We want to make an impact in the music industry. We're a new band. We want to get this age group to embrace us. Okay. Get the content that you feel resonates best for you. Get it in front of the audience in TikTok. Post a lot. You can maybe do some small ads here and there, boosted to that age group. The ads purpose should be to do two things. Hey, if you like this band, check out our Spotify. Or if you like this band, we really hope you get on our mailing list because we have a bunch of cool things. And if you get on our mailing list, we're going to do this. We're going to send out something for you. I'm going to give you something as a gift for being in our community. If you can cultivate and just keep that up, if you can just cultivate that cycle, that you're going to see faster results than almost any other thing that you can do right now. Because again, we're trying to build a fan base, right? If that's what your goal is, you're trying to build a fan base. So it doesn't really matter that it's records or vinyl or CD or cassettes, because at the end of the day, those things were doing the same thing too.
Yeah.
We were just able to monetize those things in the past. We're not able to monetize those as much anymore. So we have to play a slightly different strategy. So that's sort of the whole game plan where I see the music industry, and I think a lot of, like, the Damian Keys is another big YouTube music industry guy. He's kind of says that in a lot of respects too. What's the end goal? I think that's it. Now, for CRYRS, we're in an interesting spot. There's the group on Facebook and Instagram that did live through the emo era, and we're giving them that nostalgia factor. So we are able to promote, and I think for the most part, there are a few trolls that bash us, but most of everybody's like, oh man, I haven't heard these songs in forever. We can't wait to come see you. And then in comes the TikTok crowd. They're like, oh my God, you guys are the best thing ever, because they're 13 and they're like, they've just heard My Chemical Romance last year and they just heard Paramore. And they're like, this is another band that's in that genre. So therefore they must be kind of in that same world. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, you said, so that makes sense about the digital realm, and kind of like the transference of just kind of fan acquisition. I want to ask you this though. Where does the live aspect come into play, and how important is it now, would you say, versus, previously?
It's very important, actually. And I've taken a 180 on that. Years ago, I would have said, well, listen, I mean, we can just build up a fan base online and promote and get all over the world. And that's cool. And that's part of it. But I will tell you, I believe COVID really changed the game. The pandemic changed the game. People were without shows for a long time. And I've seen it here in our scene. Man, our scene is on fire right now. I mean, we have packed show after packed show. It was not the case 7 years ago. So the question is, how does all of my strategy, or the strategy that I outlined, how does that relate to live shows? It really enhances it, because you can use the same ideas. Hey, if you liked our TikToks, if you like our song on Spotify, come and see us. And again, if you're a band and you want to beef up your live attendance, you got to market. If you've got $10, just put it into some sort of, get some eyeballs on it. And when you market, let them know what are they going to experience. That's the secret. I can't stress that enough. Let your people know that have never heard of you. This is who we are. This is what we sound like. There's some live shows. And if you like this type of music, come and see us. We think you'll like this too. What I see a lot of bands do, Andrew, is band I've never heard, show next Thursday. That's it. Doors open at 8. Okay. What do you sound like? Do you have a Spotify link? Do you have a YouTube link? Your photo is just like a random artsy thing, and that's cool. I get the art aspect of it. But to a
They're
cold
just
eyeball, they have no frame of reference. They're like, I don't know who this band, like, what do they play? What genre? And so a lot of these bands just don't think about that, and they need to,
yeah.
let
They're
your
missing
people know
that
what you do.
core.
Yeah.
They're missing that core piece of the communication of the actual like, you know, why, it's
Yeah.
like cool, come see my band, but like why? Like why would
Why?
I like it? You know what I mean? Like what is it? I
Right.
don't even know. Um
Yeah.
and I
People are in it for themselves. You have to market like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's a level of just kind of that young crowd too. I also just when I was younger, I would go to any show just to be in the live
Yes.
scene and be at shows.
Yes. There's
Um,
still a level of that, by the way, which is awesome, right?
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's 100% necessary. I think that's like amazing. I'm such a relationship guy, as you know. I I thrive and I feed off of like connections, knowing people's stories, just helping each other out in general in life. It doesn't matter what age they are, where they came from, I think that's something that for me is really important. So I think when it comes to the live aspect, that's another thing that like, if I was pushing people to like myself to come to shows, it's like, hey, like come connect with us in person. Like
Hmm.
cool, like cool. We have these digital outlets to like connect with you, but like come to our show and hang out with us after. We'll be at the merch booth. We'll be out wherever. We'll be hanging out. Come take pictures with us. Come laugh with us. Like I think that's where it's real, right? I mean, like, you know, it's
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean, I think that's super important. I
Yeah.
love go ahead.
No, go ahead, Andrew. Sorry.
No, you go because I'm gonna change the subject. So go ahead.
Well, just one quick thing to cap that off. You're totally right. And I really missed the live show component throughout that hiatus period, especially during the pandemic. So, and I think a lot of people did too. A lot of people that I've seen just interact with us on the socials. That's a big part of it. They wanted to re-experience that personally again. And we had people, it was so funny. We played at Shreveport, Louisiana about 6 months ago. And the it was so crazy because they didn't have a band like us in a few years. This emo night thing's relatively new. Long
Yeah,
story short, we got there and we did our normal promotion leading up to it. The club owner said, "Hey guys, we've never seen these people here. Y'all need to start now because this is your crowd." And we're like, "Great, let's do it." And they were like, "This wasn't like the club crowd that just came because they were just that's who they normally that's the normal crowd." Um, Point being is that we felt like this genre was starting to get kind of novelty. It was people were starting to like, man, I miss those days so much, and this is so cool that a band is doing it. And we had funny story. We had literally people were literally crying because they're like, there's a band literally playing My Chemical Romance at a show because nobody here in Louisiana was doing that. Nobody's done that. It's all been the typical like wedding band stuff. And there's nothing wrong
like
with
Bon
that.
Jovi.
Bon Jovi, 87. I dig that stuff too. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I mean, there was just a lot of bands that do that. Um, and it was just great because people were like, finally, people playing the songs that I grew up on. We got that comment so much. So going back to your point of people want to see it live, absolutely, because they want to re-experience that. At least the older crowd, and then the younger crowd, they see like the reemergence of that, like, oh, I get to be a part of it because this looks like it was kind of cool.
What are your okay, what's your number one favorite? God, it's hard to put down to one, but what's your number one favorite aspect of live alt rock shows? Like when you were a kid, like what was your favorite? What were you most looking forward to? And like, oh, I'm so amped to experience this at the concert on Friday night or on Saturday night. Like, what was some of your favorite aspects of live music and like the emo scene, for instance?
Okay, so I remember going to see Anne Berlin locally right when they were up and coming.
I hope they serve
And
whiskey in hell. Is that Anne Berlin?
did they sing that?
Whiskey in hell? I'm pretty sure they
I
did,
don't bet
yeah.
it's maybe they did, yeah. It was
I have
during
to like
their
fact check myself, but go ahead.
it was during their Never Take Friendship Personal era.
Okay.
And
Oh, it's Ann
Andrew's
Arbor. It's Ann Arbor. Super similar names. Anne
hey,
Berlin, Ann Arbor.
I don't
Okay,
fault
cool.
you for that.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't fault you. It's all good. Um, I remember thinking at the time, what got me excited was it felt like this whole new movement of like every day I was discovering new bands. I was like, oh, I can't wait to go see these guys live. It really felt like that. When I was a really young kid, the closest thing I can relate to that was when Nirvana was just popping. And this whole grunge thing was just like it was overtaking everything. And I remember like I was super young, but I remember when like Smells Like Teen Spirit came out, and I'm like, I have never heard anything like this, and this is changing the game. I felt like that in like 2003 and four, right when those bands came out. I was like, I never thought I would experience this again, but it's happening right now. And I remember like for
Okay.
that 5, 6 years, it was just band after band, you know.
Since we're here, and I was going to ask you this anyways, just
Mm-hmm.
in the middle, just a quick pop thing.
Mm-hmm.
Top three favorite bands all time. Like, yeah, go. Like you're about to die, and they're like, yo, what three bands do you want to give props to right now? Like that, like molded you into who you are.
I don't want to sound lame, but I am going to sound lame.
No, you're not.
I
There's
got
could literally be no lame answer. Go ahead.
So I really got in 2010, 2012, I went through a hardcore Beatles phase.
Okay.
And it was just like so I was playing guitar for a band at that time, and I remember driving back from a casino show, and I just put in the White Album, and it was like 2 a.m. I was driving home. And dude, I don't know why that B-side of the White Album, I'm just sitting there probably half asleep, maybe a little whiskey, but we'll talk about that later. Because I don't drink and drive. I don't condone such behavior. But listening to that B side, it was just like it's like something clicked. I'm like, I finally get what they were doing on this record. I get it. I certainly get it. So that
Okay.
so that
So
really
Beatles.
Beatles for sure. Um
I know it's
I'm
hard.
gonna say Thrice.
Okay.
Only because when the Artist in the Ambulance came out, I legit still feel like that's one of the most perfect records ever made, for me. And I'm gonna also say, God, man, I'm gonna throw another curveball at you, but probably Typo Negative.
Never heard of them.
They were mid late '90s punk goth, very goth. The singer died about 10 years ago of like a heart attack, probably not natural. Let's just say that. But no, I really like them because I'm a real like that's probably why I resonate with this genre a lot. Is it's
Okay.
very dark, and then the Cure type thing. So Cure would be up there too. So
So okay, thank you for doing that. Events at a show that you most look forward to. Let me tell you mine, and then maybe you can
go
go off
for
of
it.
that and tell me,
Do it.
right?
Yeah, do it.
Number one, obviously the pit was like number one. I was like, dude, I can't wait to get in that pit. And then to go alongside that, I don't know why, dude. I just loved the whole like really cheesy, like metalcore, like mosh pits, like the
Mm-hmm.
windmills and like I was never like the hate mosh guy. I didn't really get down with that. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really like the head hunting and like just people literally beating the shit out of each other. Like that wasn't cool. But like, you know, throwing your fists around like you looked like you were fighting, but you weren't fighting. It was so funny, but
I remember
like,
those guys. Yeah. Oh
dude,
yeah.
like I loved that. It was so cool. It was like I'm tough, but I'm not tough because I'm not actually gonna hit anyone, and I don't want to get hit either. But and
Mm-hmm.
then pile-ups or pylons, I don't know what you guys
Mm-hmm.
call them, but you
Oh
know what I'm
yeah.
talking about.
Oh
Like
yeah.
singer puts the mic out and you just
Mm-hmm.
like everyone's just crawling on top of each other to like there's
Yeah.
something about that is like it's otherworldly. Like it's like something that I feel like I always suggest people that I know in my life, like that are having relationship problems or like whatever the case may be, they're going through some sort of problem. I'll tell them like for instance, like the story so far. Are you familiar with the story
Big
so far?
time. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like that whole album, the first one, Under Soil and Dirt. I'm like, bro, you have a girlfriend issue? Listen to Under Soil and Dirt, dude. And like, I wish you could go see them live and get into like one of those pileups because that will like release that just you know
Yeah.
like negativity that you're holding inside of you. I really do think it's like a form of what do they call it? Like therapy. It really is like a therapy for me anyways. Like I don't know. I know everyone's different, but so that's just for instance for me, like, and then obviously there's like crowd surfing and there's like, just bumping into people and there's like, just kind of the opportunity maybe of like catching a pick or catching a guitar stick. I mean, a guitar pick or a drumstick. There's like stage dives. There's, yeah, I don't know. But those are a couple of my like event wise, like what you actually do at a concert. Buying merch. Like I was another thing. I loved buying merch. I have
Yeah.
so much merch from shows. I just dropped $95 at the Suicide Machines. They just came here to Boston. You probably aren't super familiar with them,
No, name
but
doesn't sound familiar. They
they,
sound cool
they
though.
they had like 3 songs in the Disney Channel hit original movie Brink. Do you remember
Yeah,
Brink?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that song that's like you gotta look before you leap. Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's Suicide
It's
Machines. Yeah.
crazy.
So
Okay. Cool.
but yeah, they were super punk. Like they have they're ska punk really.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, they're wild. But yeah, so what are some of your favorite what are some of the things you really looked forward to do at a show when you were younger?
Yeah, everything you kind of said. I mean, when I was like 16, I would go to all ages shows and it was cool. I would kind of participate in the pit, but not like hardcore. I had a friend of mine that gashed his head open a few times, and that was always fun. So that was
You were
part of
like
it.
I'm not doing that.
I'm gonna nope out of that for a little while, you know.
Yeah.
So that was always fun. Yeah, getting to see the merch. I think part of it too, Andrew, is I've always been an outcast. Yeah, I feel like that. I think most people in this scene probably feel the same about themselves. And it was so awesome to feel like I'm connected with people that kind of are most likely coming from similar stories and backgrounds. It's like I had a place for
I
me.
love that.
You know what
I
I mean?
love that. Oh
That
yeah,
to me,
I know what you mean.
yeah, that to me is awesome. You
Yeah.
know?
No, there was no bullshit there. Like everyone was
No.
cool. All right,
Yeah.
we're gonna shift gears a little bit, but this is gonna
Sure.
kind of go along with something that you had brought up earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It was you had said in 2010 you were driving home from I think a casino gig. I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a little bit of a deep dive earlier on you. And
This guy pulled up CIA files on me and shit.
I'm gonna pull up I haven't screen shared before, so I don't know if it's gonna look weird, but can you explain this tweet to me a little bit and like what this means? Because or not this
Yeah.
tweet, but this Facebook post, because I don't know what you mean.
No, that's a Beatles tune. That's for the benefit of Mr. Kite.
That's a
That's
song? No,
yeah, it's a song.
it's
Yep.
called for the.
For the benefit of Mr. Kite. So the story on that one was John Lennon and Paul were in a pub, um, and they probably on acid or something like that, and they saw a flyer for Mr. Kite's adventure, and they're like, "Hey, let's write a song about that." So they literally came up with a song and said, "We're going to write a song called For the Benefit of Mr. Kite," and they used all the lyrics from that song from that poster.
And you said there will be a show tonight on trampolines.
Yeah, so some sort of circus thing, and then they kind of went way over the top with like creating a whole story around it. Yeah.
So this is just a lyric.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For the benefit of Mr. Kite is the actual name of the tune. Yeah.
Okay. And
Now,
then there will
what's
be a show
funny
tonight on
is,
trampolines.
yeah, so
That's a
that's an
lyric in the
actual
song.
lyric.
Okay, I
Correct.
could have
Yeah.
literally just Googled that, and then we
You could
wouldn't
have,
be here right
but
now.
that's okay. But that's okay because
I thought it'd be a really like cool personal
yeah.
story. All right, I have one more. This is definitely personal. I know
Uh-oh.
that you won't
Uh-oh.
but I'm curious. My question on this is um
This is kind of neat, actually.
you were excited to be playing an acoustic set at
at
Jolie's this
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Come check it out. New songs added. So Beatles, Coldplay, better than Ezra
Taylor.
and James Taylor. So I
Yeah.
guess put yourself back in 2009 and I guess I don't know, tell me a little bit about I guess that moment in time, and do you remember what those new songs were from these bands that you added to the repertoire?
I sure do. So this was a few years after our band had kind of split up, and I was kind of in limbo. By the way, for those that don't know, I'm actually a classical guitarist. I graduated with a music degree in classical. So like a lot of the acoustic fingerstyle stuff I've been doing for a very long time. That was a restaurant that I was hired to play, and they wanted some background music. So they said, "Hey, can you learn these songs?" And I said, "Sure," because I needed some money, right? I needed to work. So those are some of the songs that were requested, and I learned them. But I did them in a way where I wasn't singing. I actually played the bass line and the vocal line all on guitar, right? Kind of like a classical player would do that. So the other songs were Just Like Heaven from The Cure. Um, I would imagine probably a Fall Out Boy tune because I'll throw stuff like that in. People wouldn't realize it till after the fact. Um, Probably Paramore. The Only Exception was probably in there at some point. So I try to pick stuff that would kind of make sense,
And
right?
so you weren't singing, you were just playing guitar
Just playing the
as
guitar.
background music.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
super cool. That's super cool. I really love that.
Yeah. I only did that for about 6 months. And then I started teaching more guitar students. And then we opened up our school about a year later. And that's how I started with the whole entrepreneur journey.
I
I do
I want to
think,
dive into that a little bit as well,
sure.
but go ahead and finish up your thought and then
Well, I
I'll
was going
ask
to
you.
say, over the years, I've learned that a lot of people that are business owners, Andrew, happen to be artists. And I don't think that's a coincidence.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um so my fiance, um she has been working at the same music um studio doing private lessons,
Mm-hmm.
piano, and vocal and a little bit ukulele here and there, but mostly she's an amazing pianist, dude. She's like mind-blowingly really good.
Awesome.
And so she's been at the same place for like 10 years and she likes them. She loves them. They're amazing to her. And but she's always kind of thought like, could I maybe do this, on my own? But I don't think so. She's not like you and I when it comes to like entrepreneurial spirit. I've been like, let's do it. Like, I'll take care of all the bookkeeping. Like, I'll take care of all the promoting, and everything. You just do what you do best and just teach the kids the piano. She's
Mm-hmm.
so good at teaching piano because like you guys at your studio, I noticed earlier, I was looking on the website. Amazing website, by the way. I want to ask you if you made the website, but hold on.
I did.
Okay. She's personalized to each student, right? She's
Mm-hmm.
obviously there's a book involved, but like a very young student, if they come in and they're not like excited to play the book, like maybe you hit the book for like 5 minutes, but then you go, what do you want to do? What do you want to play? Like let's keep you just musically interested, right? And I really love that about her and that like her teaching style. She has a waiting list for people to get into her schedule. So it's really, it's a great position to be in. But I wanted to ask you, were you in the same position as her where you were teaching for another person? How did you muster up the confidence and how did you start on your own? I guess speak to her through this right now, I guess, for a couple minutes.
That's a great question. Yes, to answer your question, I was that person. And I did work for actually a few schools kind of piecemeal. So I had a few students privately. I worked at one school for a few days, the other one for a day or two. And it really just came down to, after being there for a while, I could get a sense of, man, I could probably do this even on a smaller level at first. And I know that if it was done the way that I'm thinking, I could probably do a few things a little bit differently, maybe easier. And the trade-off is maybe I can grow this into something that's bigger, but we'll see, right? So it was not an overnight thing. I had to really work up the mental convincing myself, what you're going to face. And this is interesting because I do coaching for a lot of businesses in this industry in particular. You get a lot of imposter syndrome, where you might be really good at your trade, but you've never done books. You've never opened up an LLC. So you're going to have a lot of learning, and that's okay. And it's okay. Do the best you can. Learn from those that maybe have done it or maybe a little bit ahead of you. Read books and just go for it. And don't feel like you have to have all your ducks in a row to make one single move, because you'll never make that move. You just got to kind of get to a point where you're reasonably like, okay, I'm gonna kind of do this and just do it, and understand that it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay, because perfection is actually not required. What's really required is just putting the initiative out there and doing the best you can, and having people around you that can at least be a support system if things kind of go wonky for a little while, and then you can kind of get your bearings and then elevate yourself.
Yeah, it's the grit, right? It's like the showing up every single day and not giving up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to show up every single day.
Yeah. And artists, I should say, tend to try to get the perfect system first and then execute. And they're always stuck at the first step because they're always trying to perfect the method when they really should just be making moves now.
God,
The
that
method
hits
will
home.
get
That hits
actually,
home so
well,
crazy to
it's
me.
common. Yeah,
Yeah.
really. But think of it like this. I'll kind of cap it like this. Perfecting the method actually comes through the steps that you take. So really, if you're not taking the steps, you're never going to perfect the method. So just take the steps because that's part of the process anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Um, you did the website.
Yes.
Do you continuously perform, updates on it? Are you like restructuring, or do you feel like it's perfect the way it is?
Well, it's always a work in progress, but we have a team of people that monitor certain things as far as like, we do newsletters and stuff and SEO, search engine optimization things. That's always is changing. But for
I
the most
noticed
part,
I noticed you're running a branded ad on your name. So I searched for it earlier on
yeah,
Google.
yeah,
I got an ad for it, which is interesting.
yeah.
It makes me feel like on your Google Ads account, you're probably using like presence or interest instead of just people in or regularly in my area. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if
Yep.
so, what's the move on that? Like what's the thought process on that, right? Because for
Yeah.
me, when I run it for local businesses, local companies, like I don't need a guy in like California to see my ad, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So that's mainly for search engine traffic. So we want Google to see that we're bringing in people from out of area, and that helps our ranking. And we're number one for a lot of our key core search phrases. So that's just
Okay.
basically an SEO strategy.
All right, cool. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. How long have you been running Google Ads campaigns?
Since 2017, 2016, 2017,
What
something like that. Mm-hmm.
what was your first time? Who was your first person running the ads for? Was it yourself?
So yeah, we took over. So I had an ad agency in Atlanta that was running for our school, and then I was at a mastermind where brilliantly a guy from Ohio was putting together this Google ad tutorial. And I was like, this, I'm just gonna learn this because I don't understand it. I need to understand it. So I delved into it, and it started to make sense. And then I said, well, let me just try it on my school. Made a bunch of mistakes, but then I figured it out. So yeah. And then from
I
there, I duplicated that.
I love Google Ads, bro. I
They're a game
genuinely
changer.
I love paid ads in general. I like
Yeah.
creating the copy. I like the message. I like coming up with
Mm-hmm.
the offer, the speed, everything about it is
The whole spiel. Yep.
yeah, it's been great. I feel like I stumbled upon my current job and I'm so lucky because I've been able to grow
Mm-hmm.
my position there. I'm like the account director now, so I kind of like make sure
Congrats,
all the
man.
accounts are yeah, no, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for saying that. I guess I found a fun fact for you. Did you know that Britney Spears' psychiatrist name was was your name?
You're kidding.
Yeah, yeah, same name. He
Wow. What are
he
the
sadly
chances?
he sadly passed away. But
Oh, poor guy.
yeah, yeah, that's what when I was googling you earlier. That's what I came up with.
Well, last time I Googled myself about 6 years ago, there was a rapper in Chicago that was named Tim Benson. So go figure that one out, right? So who knew? What I was gonna
Hey,
say too, go
yeah,
ahead.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
Andrew.
I want to talk quickly about phone score, but what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say just to wrapping up the Google ad stuff. So a question I get a lot from my marketing businesses that I work with is, and if you're in the music industry, this could relate to you as well too. Hey, what should I run, Tim? Social media or Google ads? Which one should I run given the choice of two? And I typically say I would start with Google, and here's why. Consider when you are searching for something, you are going to search that topic on Google. Where's your mindset there relative to, hey, I'm scrolling on my phone and an ad pops up? Which out of those two scenarios is the person closer to buying? Right.
Right.
One
Yeah.
is just seeker searcher. The other one is just casual. Oh, I just happened to see an ad. So you have to consider where the buyer's behavior is. If they are actively on Google searching for you and you have an ad and you pop up, that's virtually a new sale that could be happening right there. Versus I'm going to pump out these Facebook and Instagram ads in the hopes that somebody gets hooked. So there's a different behavior. Now you do need both because I think one drives
Yeah.
the other and vice versa. But it's always a question that I get. Which one, if I have a limited budget, which would be better? I would say for direct bang on your buck, focus on Google.
So, but how as a band though are you running like a search campaign?
I don't
Like,
run. So that's a good question. Right now, and I've thought about this. I do not run a Google campaign yet for the band. If you were to do so, my biggest suggestion is just run YouTube ads. And if you
yes,
have some
100%.
good,
Because that was my thought. It was like,
yeah,
it's a media, thing.
mm-hmm,
So I think like running like media is great. If it's someone
yeah,
searching for a specific type of service, then hell yeah, Google ads all day
yeah,
long, get in that search results.
mm-hmm,
But when it comes to music, I
YouTube,
think, yes, YouTube for fans of kind of
mm-hmm,
thing, I think is perfect. Man, this
mm-hmm,
is great. I want to talk more about this offline because I'm super
yeah,
genuinely excited that we're both in that world.
yeah,
So one thing from my current job that I realized, right, and this is so funny that I'm drawing this connection was I the way that our ads are set up, we send them, we obviously send them to our landing pages, and our landing pages have our tracking lines on them that we run through our software, and then
mm-hmm,
we forward them to their tracking software, right?
yep,
So we have recordings of all the calls. Just that's how we measure quality as well. We
mm-hmm,
want to make sure we're sending them quality leads. Um, I noticed that a CSR can make or break a company, right? Like you're paying an average of about, let's call it $100 for a new customer to call you from Google Ads, right?
yep,
Your CSR is basically acting like, you know, like their job isn't to perform like the best customer service they can to book that lead or to
agreed.
provide that the most information possible, which is interesting because then I was like, I should start like, which I did. I'll tell you the name later, but I was like, I want to start like a program where I can like for a flat rate or whatever, I'll go and listen to a bunch of your calls and I'll give you like personalized strategies on how to help your CSRs answer the calls better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw that you started Phone Score, and I
Which
was
is
like, what
exactly
the
that.
fuck?
Is
It's
exactly that.
crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a little different, right? Because
It's not,
well,
yeah.
I didn't think about doing the whole secret shop thing. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the name of the game, right? That should be an added thing that I do for measuring success. But
Yes,
are you creating personalized like plans for custom like CSRs and how to get better?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that all the time. That's a great question. And a common mistake businesses make out of many, because I've made a lot of them. Hey, we're open. We're gonna market. Cool. We spent all this money on marketing. We got these calls in. Why don't we get no more customers?
Yeah. Why are we making
Because
money?
Right. Well, because you missed out on one critical area. Who's converting these leads into customers? And that was a big problem. Hey, Tim, we're running Facebook ads, we're running Google, but we just don't seem to get the sales. Okay, let me call your business really quick. When I call the business, guess what happens? No answer. 5 rings, maybe get an answer, or something like this. Thanks for calling. How I help you? Bad
Yeah.
experience.
Right.
So
Or hey, how much does it cost to replace a water heater? Oh, I don't have pricing here in the office. I have to send a guy out to tell you.
yeah,
Okay, I don't
exactly.
really want a guy at my
I don't
house.
want a
Like,
guy at my house,
yeah, like
and
you're not
I
making me feel
can,
confident.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was a big problem. So I call that the conversion bottlenecks. We're creating this funnel of leads, and they get to the conversion point, and 80% of businesses were dropping the ball. So unbeknownst to the business owner, many times, business owners running their business, maybe they're an entrepreneur, they don't even realize that they have a problem. That's the big issue. Many of them are problem unaware.
That's really what a big part of it is. I've lost clients under my roster over there where I work now because businesses are like, I'm not making any money off your calls. You're sending me shitty calls. Like you're not sending me
Yeah.
the right calls. It's like,
Oh yeah.
have you listened? I know you don't have a lot of time,
Yeah.
but like, look, like, do you understand that like you are facing another 20 like companies in the same area as you? You know what I mean? Like you have to win the customer. You have to win them. They're not you're not owed anything, like you got an opportunity, a shot at it. Like you should, figure out how to train your CSR to be better. Anyways, I agree
You're
with you.
preaching, you're preaching to the choir. And many businesses confuse leads with sales all the time.
Yeah.
They don't understand the math that every 10 leads is probably going to be 3 closed clients if you're good. And use the baseball analogy. 30% from cold to close is probably industry standard for most businesses. And a 30% batting average in the Major League Baseball is your Hall of Famer. So here's the thing. I can go into your business, and if you can guarantee me a 30% close rate, you're going to be a millionaire because we can generate the appropriate leads. As long as you've got the internal people on the phone and the process,
The
you're going to have no
structure.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, 90% of businesses do not have that, or they don't have it really well thought out because they think it's all in the marketing and they hire just any deadbeat to answer the phone. And that is the problem.
That's the problem. 100%. It's also
100%.
hard to find good help to answer the phones
And
too.
it's
I
only
won't
gotten
lie.
harder.
You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
it's only gotten harder. And it's something that I've seen over the last 5 years is, and listen, no shade on the Gen Z folks, but brother, you guys don't like talking on the phone. I say you, not you, Andrew, but that generation is
I'm
not
millennial,
like,
bro.
all right, I got, all right, millennial,
Yeah, no,
bro.
but I feel you, man.
Don't
I
like talking on the
100% agree.
phone.
They don't like
Don't
talking
like
on the
talking on
phone.
the phone. And
Nope.
here's the thing. If you are selling a dental plan, they're not going to text for that. They're not going to opt in to a $400 dental plan via text. They need to talk to a human being. That's where the big disconnect is right now in a lot of small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
The older generation is aging themselves out. They do not want to work that job because they're too qualified in a lot of respects, right? Traditionally, those type of jobs would have fallen into the 20-ish, 25-year-olds that are kind of working their way through college, but they don't like talking on the phone, and they don't. And unfortunately, the Gen Z generation, the communication skills are a little lacking, right? In some respects. Now, again, I'm speaking in broad generalities. I know I'm probably going to get one person that's going to, how dare you say that? I'm awesome on the phone. Props to you, brother. You are the outlier. You are
You're
not
an
the norm.
outlier.
Yeah. So point being is that this
And
is
it's
a real
important.
problem for businesses.
It's important for those people, like you said, those outliers, to understand that they're outliers, because they are 100% going to have so many more opportunities to shine than a lot of these people who are like, don't want to talk on the phone, or, oh, I'm anxious, or, oh, like I get it too. Like, we're, you know, it's tough, but like the outliers need to understand that they are outliers. Like the people like you and I feel like we are outliers. That's why, you know, which leads me to my basically next and final point as we wrap this up. I'm so glad you've given me the time today. Thank you. It's been awesome to catch up.
I'll talk about this anytime. And likewise, dude, Andrew. Yeah.
I earlier this year, so, you know, I always struggle with like the weight thing. Like I'll do really, really well for a while. My birthday last year at 2022, I was probably like the lowest I've been in a while. The pictures I looked at, I was like, wow, I'm like so pumped. You look amazing. And this year I was running, like, at the beginning of the year, 5Ks. Like the goal from at the beginning of the year was to do 1 5K a month. I think we did 3 and then we kind of fell off. No one's perfect, whatever. It happens. Yeah. We can jump back on. They were actually just doing one today, a 5K right down the street from us, and I was like, I got to get back to doing those. Because it was fun. It was nice to push myself and to get into it. And then doing my little bit of a research today, I saw something about corporate challenge event manager, 5K benefiting a local charity. All right, so you're not doing that anymore?
No, that was only for like 1 or 2 years. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about that. What was that?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. By the way, you look fantastic. You've definitely, thanks, I can tell. So great job to you, man. Seriously. Yeah. So right around the time I was doing, acoustic shows and everything, one of my college professors he was a triathlete, and he said, Tim, we're going to do this 5K. Would you like to help me put it together? So that was my first real foray into cold calling businesses, right? Because he had basically hired me. He's like, here's a list of businesses. We want to get their staff to sign up as a 5K team, and it's friendly competition here in town. And it benefits a local charity. It's actually a great event. It was awesome. So that was my adventure into that. But that was interesting because like it was my first experience as an event manager, like getting sponsors together. We had a stage, we had a local artist. So it's kind of right on that's why he hired me, because he already knew I could put those things kind of together in my own way. So he wanted to make it a nice event, and those were really successful. He had to move those, so we kind of put that on the shelf. But yeah, that was that point of time,
Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
How many students do you have at the academy right now?
A little over 500.
Holy balls.
So we have about 37 teachers now. We started with 3, all the guitar teachers, funny enough.
That is amazing, Tim.
It took 13 years to get there, Andrew, so it wasn't overnight. But thank you.
Still, but look, I think your business could have gone in two three directions. It can stay stagnant and stay at three teachers. It can go out of business and you end up performing shitty results, and parents just don't keep talking about you guys and blah.
Correct.
Or it could go in the direction that it went in, and there was word of mouth, and there was how do we get better? How do we grow? How do we, keep this going? Like, I absolutely love it, man. I think there's
Thank you.
the story of the, Academy of Acadiana is amazing. I don't know enough about it, but I have more of an appreciation now. Whereas my fiance obviously works for our local, it's not even that local. That's what, it's like 45 minutes away where we were living. And then we bought a house up here. Website, video, that's very short. It's, what is it, 30 seconds? Are you running that on TV?
Yeah, in fact, we just filmed another commercial for TV that will be coming out, I think, this holiday season. So yeah, we've run that one for years, for sure.
Nice. I love it.
It's interesting too. One final point on my marketing company side, talking about like getting clients and communication stuff. So we do have a software now that does bridge the gap when people opt in as a lead for a service. We've created this whole dashboard that can automate email and text responses. So to help out the folks that are not so comfortable, we do that. Reason I bring it up is one of the things we do at our school, because we use the same software now too, is I've pre-recorded video welcomes to all of our new students. So they get FaceTime with me with a pre-recorded vidyard. It's kind of like Loom, if you're never familiar with it. So it's like a message. They get a text, hey, a special welcome from Tim, director of Music Academy. And it's a pre-recorded video. And I've gotten a lot of people commenting like, that's so cool. That's very professional. Like, and then in increments, they'll get, when they hit their 3-month, hey, congrats, you're here 3 months in the Academy. We're so proud. We're so excited. So those are the things that I think really win the game, right? So if you're a band and you're trying to, again, what's the goal? Build a fan base, build a community. You got to think about what are the right touch points for new people and people already in your ecosystem. If you can figure that out, you're going to be on top of the game.
What's the biggest challenge you've had in the Academy, Music Academy, over the years? What would you say the biggest challenge has been?
It's an attrition heavy business. So you'll get some students that'll stay 6 years. You'll get some that stay 1 week. And it's simply because music's not for everybody, even though you and I, we live and die by it. But for some, it's not for them. And that's okay. Right. And at some point, you're going to get a core group of students that are going to be with you. And then some are just going to be transient. And that's okay. Either way, we are here to help you in your journey, regardless of how long that is. We just want to be your go-to. But it's an attrition heavy industry. Same with like dance schools, martial art studios tend to be that way too. Any sort of like specialty fine art stuff tends to be that way,
Do you think a lot of it has to do with parents pushing their kids in without the kids really wanting to?
Oh, we see that for years.
Yeah.
A lot of it too is distractions.
And
it goes in cycles. It's interesting. There was a time, 2013, 14. It was weird because like it was like piano voice students is all we were getting. Guitar was kind of on a lull, and I think it's because popular music at that time was very synth heavy. Now, my goodness, man, like you got MGK killing it. You got Polyphia. You got bands like Polyphia. You got so many like shreddy type, very well-known artists now. Guitar is like on a huge upsurge, and it's awesome to see for sure. I never thought I'd see it again. If anything, like I'm a big prog metal guy too. One of the other bands I like a lot is Dream Theater too. John Petrucci is one of my guitar idols. Reason I say that is like bands like Animals as Leaders and, like I said, Polyphia, Monuments, Intervals, Chon. I see so many kids now like playing that stuff, and I'm like, this is so awesome. That's like, I wasn't seeing this 10 years ago. Definitely not. And I'm seeing more like Tosin Abasi, like the 8-string he's got,
How about that guitar I freaking sent you earlier? Did you see the little video?
That thing is so crazy.
That thing is pretty interesting. It's
awesome.
wild to see where the future goes. You're also doing audio recording lessons at the Academy?
Yeah, because we've got the Studio One set up. Studio One's the DAW that we use. We do have Pro Tools.
That's really cool.
I like really Studio One. Cool thing about Studio One is it's from PreSonus, and PreSonus is a Baton Rouge, Louisiana company, so they're literally an hour away. So I feel like we're not only getting a good product, but they're locally owned. So I'm like,
that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing about offering all these different specialties, if you will, violin, woodwind,
Hmm.
voice, guitar, obviously all your normal stuff. But then you throw in things like, like violin, I feel like is a little bit,
Hmm.
kind of interesting. Musical
Ukulele,
theater in the summer,
musical theater.
ukulele.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
obviously like the audio recording, that gives you so much more of an opportunity to capture people that might, be into different things. Like
Yeah.
maybe I'm into like music, but I'm more into the technical side of it and like helping bring
Yep.
people's sound to life. So, I mean,
Yeah.
how many audio recording students would you say?
Not many right now, and that's okay. That's kind of by
Yeah,
design. Another interesting thing too is we get a lot of people asking if we do like any music business type stuff, which we should. Um, because that's ironically our college here in Lafayette. That's a huge department for us now. Is the music business curriculum?
that's
Um,
what I was gonna say. Is that's what I got my degree in Boston, was audio production and with a focus. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
entertainment management with a focus in audio production. So it was a lot of like live sound, working through Pro Tools, just learning how to use these different workspaces. So it's great that you're offering that without needing to go to college.
what's interesting? What really brought it home was we just played a show in Destin, Florida, about 2 weeks ago,
Yeah, I saw
and
that. It looked like
great
a crazy
turnout.
crowd.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's a
good job,
crazy
man.
crowd. Yeah, yeah. But what was really interesting is the level of bands. Like we did a great band, got paid well. It just really reminded me like there's a real ecosystem. There's a real business here. Like we think as local bands, it's the local coffee shop, the local theater with like 100 cap room, and that's fine, and that does serve its purpose.
No, sure.
But believe it or not, the live entertainment industry is really on an uptick right now. Now there are a lot of bands that are saying it's expensive to travel, and it is. So it's not easy. But
Yeah.
my point is, there is a lot of revenue to be had. There is business out there, right? There's because when I was a kid, I'm like, wait, they get paid to do this? Like, I didn't realize that. I thought they just played because they just worked like a
Yeah.
job and they played. But no, you can get monetized, and if you're very smart about it, you can do well. And again, it's not about like I'm going to be rich and famous. It's just nice to know that there is an ecosystem that can support you if you are smart about it. So there is validity to having a music business curriculum because there is business there, and here's the thing: if there's demand on a massive scale for anything, you can make a business out of it. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what it is,
Yeah. Totally.
um so I mean, social media marketing 12 years ago wasn't a thing, really. You could post for people, but it was like, I'll pay you $50, just post some crap on my Facebook. Now, like ads and paid ads and lead gen and traffic and awareness, I mean, so there's all
Email
these
blasts.
email
Yeah. All that
blasts.
stuff.
Yeah, for sure, man. So there is a real legitimate ecosystem there, and playing at like some of these higher level clubs, like you see it firsthand because then you see the roster. Oh, tomorrow there's a band called Cold. Yeah, they were a national band, and then Ginger is playing there, and then I'm like, dude, like there's national bands playing here, and there's like thousands of these type of clubs all over the United States, and I'm thinking, well, man, if this club is operating at this level, then there's a legit business. This is an industry. This is not just like you know the level of shows with 50 people and then the arenas with 10,000 people and nothing in between. There is a real middle class there if you know how to work it.
Yeah. So we're gonna continue this conversation again because my brother
Yeah.
is an Elvis impersonator. I don't know if I ever told you that, but
I did not know that. That's awesome.
yeah, he has a really good show put together. Like he's got a full band backing him up. He's got the letters that he built out that are
Yeah.
that hang up behind him. He's got the whole thing down. He's got the jumpsuits. He's invested a lot of money into this, but putting together the promo, right, to send to get people interested in it, right, I
Mhm.
feel like is the issue. And we need to get him something like this, man. Like
Yeah.
this right here that I'm seeing on your page right here. It says, can you see
Yep.
it now?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like this is what you were talking about earlier in terms
Yeah.
of like creating
Sell
promo
the
stuff of
experience.
the
Sell the
experience,
experience.
right?
That's all you're
Yeah.
doing. Yeah.
And
Don't.
this can be
Yeah.
done with something as easy as like Canva, like
Yep. Just
yeah.
video footage, put Canva, put some tracks underneath it, and put the graphics, and you're good to go. And it all ties back into like he could promote himself and say, "Hey, I do Elvis covers." Okay. Or come out and see the most interesting Elvis impersonator in the area, have photos, live photos, do like if you like songs like Heartbreak, Hotel or
Hotel. Yeah.
like blue
Yeah.
suede shoes. Yeah, I want to go see this guy, you know?
He's really good at that, honestly, like in terms of like, the words that he uses to help
Yeah.
promote. But there definitely needs to be more like content, more actual assets, digital stuff
Hmm.
going on. So that's why I try to, always grab a few shots when I can with my iPhone. And just,
Yeah.
people who are still listening, hey, one little final tip trick here for you guys. You don't need a super expensive like DSLR. If you think about it,
iPhone.
the iPhones are actually, my iPhone is more expensive than my DSLR. My DSLR I paid
Yeah.
$500 for in a little kit.
Yeah.
It came with a pretty decent lens, but nothing crazy. My iPhone's like what? Like $1,200 that we
Yeah.
pay off over like a year or two. And the megapixels and the camera quality now, I mean, just throw your video camera on cinematic mode, throw throw it into 4K, hold it, landscape, not portrait, and you have a Hollywood movie, maybe not Hollywood, but like you have a really good camera in your hands, really good.
And
So
people like seeing content that looks polished but not too polished. So if it looks like high quality but like kind of local, that's actually what you want.
yeah, totally. Yeah. Um, man, thank you so much for
Thank
talking to
you.
me today. It was so good to just catch up. Still so many questions on my mind, so we'll definitely have to pick
Let's do
this
a
back
follow up.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, what you got coming up next? When's your next Crier show?
We are playing October 28th in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for their big Halloween Saturday emo night. And
Sweet.
then we have a New Year's Eve show here in Lafayette. Next year, we're trying to get some Texas dates lined up. We've got a lot of people asking us to play out there. So, yeah, man. And we could talk band marketing for a long time because we're doing feel like we're experimenting and come up with some interesting observations. So I'd be more than happy to share what I'm
Yeah, I want to
seeing.
hear him. Definitely.
Mhm.
Hey, man, thank you so much for being you,
Thank you.
for connecting with me back in the day, 2014 or 15 or whenever it was. I look up to you, man. I know that we
Thank
don't
you.
talk every day. Obviously we're both very, very busy, but whenever I'm scrolling and I see anything of yours, I get that's just a hit of just, happiness and just knowing that you're all right and you're doing good. And I
Same,
just
man.
want you to know that, you've definitely helped me in my journey in many ways, but I appreciate you, and that's the main reason why I want to come on here and just give you a voice out here, and just talk to you,
I love
selfishly wanted to just chat with you.
that's anytime, Andrew. I'm always game for that. And likewise, man, your drive and hustle are really admirable, and I really appreciate everything you did for us too, and are still doing. So thank you again, man. And I'd love to come play up there. And we're gonna try to make that happen.
Oh,
Seriously.
hell yeah, thank you, man.
So yeah,
Cool.
I think
Well,
it'd be great if you could see a show.
I want to. If
Yeah.
so, I have a 2-year-old, but if not, I would literally be buying tickets to get down there to Louisiana just to
Yeah, it's
come
all
hang out
good.
with you guys again.
Yeah.
But as you know, the toddler life is
I
tough,
know toddler life.
not
Bro,
even potty trained yet. So
I know that life. Yes, I do.
yeah. Do you have two kids or one?
Just one. We're
Just
just
one, yeah.
single.
And
Yeah.
it's a
Girl.
girl. Okay, I knew that.
7.
7 now.
Yeah,
Holy,
7.
yeah,
My goodness, huh?
that's crazy. Yeah, we'll have to talk more offline about that as well.
Let's do it.
But yeah, I love you, brother.
Likewise, Andrew. Love you, man.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Tim.
Okay. See you later, brother.
Bye, Bert.
Bye.
Bert Timson.